I've been living in China for the last close to 20 years, actually. I lived in Beijing, in Shenzhen, and in Shanghai. I'm the founder of Creative Capital. Creative Capital is a leading independent branding agency made in China. We are probably made in China. Our head office in Shanghai, we've got close to 30 people. And then now we have an office in Shenzhen, and we went overseas and opened a very successful office in New York a year ago. Okay, so we are here today to talk about the rise of Chinese brand and how the market has been moving and shaping over the last couple of years. Something which is very important for me to stress out is we've been reading a lot in the press that China is slowing down, China is a lot of brands are facing difficulties in China. And yes, in a way it is true, but I think my point is actually it is normal. During many, many years, the market was just not normal. I mean, the market was going way too fast, or it was way too easy for too many brands. And now we are just entering into a more normal phase of development and of growth, and having every year 100% growth in the retail world, which is the world which I'm mostly facing on the day-to-day, is not normal. So be confident and be positive. There's still a lot of great things happening in China, and there's still a lot of opportunities in China. So now it's really the market went from growth for whole to a growth of a good one. And I think it's a very important point. Another important point is during many years, the market was way too easy for many big brands. What I mean, way too easy for many big brands. A lot of the headquarters were closing nice eyes. But my point is, let's take example of brands like Gucci or Louis Vuitton. The local team was probably very good, but very often, actually, the market was driving the sales. I mean, was the marketing people in these companies doing an amazing job, or just the market pulling the sales on shopping mall, giving free rent, department stores, asking the people to come, and also all the marketing people doing more actually a PR job, not marketing and pushing the brand, but more calling their buddies and asking them to come to spend money in their shop. When also you see, of course, the price back in that time was way much higher than in the West. So now, with the anti-corruption that's been very strong over the last couple of years, over the last 2 years, obviously, this PR job is less impactful, and it's much more about selling in a more meaningful way than just calling your friends and asking them to come to spend money in the shop. And this is one of the reasons why many, especially in the high-end, many luxury brands have been hit. Probably the market was just a little bit too easy for them. And now it's actually an interesting change. In a way, on a different matter, it also applies to the big Chinese companies, which was way too easy for a lot of them. It was a way too easy in a different way from the big Western brand. It was too easy because it was a business that was really channel-driven. So you were big, you were famous, you owned the distribution, you had also less competition, and it was the same, all the big shopping malls wanted all the same brands. Now, for the ones who've been to China, and I'm sure a lot have been, there's way too many shopping malls, there's way too many department stores. Good shopping malls, there is of course a lot of them, but bad shopping malls, there's also a lot of them. So the good shopping mall now, they want the good brand, like the brand really that create foot traffic, the brand that create meaningful connection to the brands. And a lot of these big Chinese companies who have thousands of stores are also changing the way they work on the market, and also facing a lot of very interesting challenges. An interesting issue that a lot of these Chinese companies are starting to realize is what actually the value of a brand is. And I'm going to start actually with an interesting question for you guys. Everyone have heard about Zara? You know Zara? No, okay, thank you. What Zara is? What is Zara? Brand? Fast fashion, yeah. Is Zara a brand? Is Zara a brand? I mean, close your eyes and think about the Zara product DNA. Yeah, but okay. Everyone is familiar with L'Occitane, for instance, cosmetic brand. L'Occitane, okay? Close your eyes and think about L'Occitane. What do you feel? Lavender. Okay, lavender. Huh? So, I'm sorry? Yellow, exactly. I mean, like a beautiful abbey in the middle of the landfill, and that's it. Yeah. So the issues of many, many Chinese companies is during many years, they thought that they were brand. They were actually average retailers. And this is where the market is becoming very, very interesting. Because before, these guys were fighting against like the dirty, the lousy Metals Bondway and Baleno and all these crappy Chinese retailers thought that they were brands. They thought that they were brands because they were hiring celebrities, because that they were hiring maybe some, spending a lot of money in advertising. But it's not that because they were having an expensive store on a high-end street that was making them brand. I mean, and now these guys are facing, on one side, true retailers. I mean, don't get me wrong. Zara is maybe not a strong brand. I mean, in terms of a branding on DNA way, but obviously it's a very, very, very strong retailers. Same as Uniqlo, same as Goo. And when you go to retailers like Goo, Zara, and Uniqlo, you don't go there to buy a story. You don't go there to buy an emotion. You definitely go there to buy a product. And this product is damn cheap. My trouser, 90 kwai RMB, $10 retail price. Uniqlo, lower level brand, Goo. So when these Metals Bondway and Baleno are fighting against Goo, they're in trouble because their cost of production, even how big they are, is actually very often going to be higher than these guys. Okay, so this is a very, very, very interesting thing which is happening. So on one side, you had the big Western brands that had a very easy ride because they were selling brands, selling products to consumers, maybe not spending their own money. On the other side, you had all these average retailers selling no soul, no story, no spirit to consumers just buying product. And now they are facing this very interesting competition. So like okay, so obviously one is L'Occitane, another one is a retailer. So that's where this has been creating a very, very, very interesting opportunity for great Chinese brand. Let's think now, have another little question about you. So anybody here can name, not Metals Bondway or Baleno, but a cool, a famous Chinese fashion brand, for example. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah. Nothing? Come on. Is Maj a brand or Maj a retailer? Actually, we can discuss about this later. Shanghai Tang, Metals Bondway. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna start actually with a couple of two couple of counter-example which I usually like to discuss about. Shanghai Tang. Okay. Anyone heard about Shanghai Tang? What is Shanghai Tang? Shanghai Tang is a disgusting kind of colonial brand that talks in a way of China, but China being made of red, gold, jade, dragon. It's just so irrelevant, completely irrelevant. I mean, it's a brand made by, don't get me wrong, very smart watchmaker, Richemont, who understand obviously very well how the level of history is working, but probably forgot the fashion element. And that's why Shanghai Tang is a complete mismatch. I mean, what does Shanghai Tang sell? I mean, it sells eventually some key rings to some nice American tourists in airport, and that's it. I mean, Chinese consumers, 99% of them don't relate. For the ones who relate, they can eventually, it can eventually remind me the Boxer War or some nasty invasion where concubines were sleeping with a European officer. It's definitely not a nice China, and this is really Shanghai Tang. So they have a nice things to leverage on, but I don't think they are touching it in a very relevant way for the Chinese market. Of course, they are visible because of Richemont and their exposure in the West, but in China, definitely not an interesting case, at least in terms of a good one. Another one which I also always quite interested to study is Shangxia. So Shangxia, well, is it well done? Yes, it's well done. Is it relevant to contemporary China? I guess yes. But very conceptual, very far also as well from the reality of the Chinese consumers. We've also, in a way, a lack of legitimacy. I mean, Hermes. What is Hermes? Hermes is history. Hermes is legacy. It's this leather legacy from France. And Shangxia is a made brand by Hermes. So in a way, with quite a lot of arrogance. And don't get me wrong again, Hermes is in the back. They will make it right. it will take them 15, 20 years. It would have been so much easier to acquire a small, great Suzhou silk factory, or some of the great Chinese brands I'm going to show you after, and build a story behind Shangxia. So, once again, Hermes behind. Hermes definitely know how to manage brands. They will probably get it right at one point, but did they took the easy way? I don't think so. And Shangxia now, the other challenge that they have is they have a big sourcing issue because they actually don't own the know-how. So they're basically sourcing these great craftsmen all around China that produce for them. They don't own these craftsmanships. So it's another issue of Shangxia, of very visible in the West because of Hermes, because of beautiful store that they open in Paris, but they have like 2 or 3 stores in China, 1 store in Paris, and I mean losing. I'm not really sure about the number, but I'm sure quite a lot of money. Quite a lot of money. Anyway, so this is just for fun, but the reason I started by Shanghai Tang and Shangxia, in a way, these 2 brands, if I would make a nasty, silly analogy, would be to compare them to having some Chinese friends visiting Paris and telling them, I'm going to introduce you 2 beautiful French brands, Pierre Cardin and Montagu. With one difference probably, is at least these 2 brands have made a lot of money with the Chinese market. So anyway, so to close the parenthesis, now let's discuss about what's actually really happening in China and with this really exciting Chinese brand. There's a lot of them and they are much more fun than Shanghai Tang and much more meaningful than Shangxia. Okay, another point also about these guys, and that's the beauty about the Chinese market, and that's the beauty about the SME planning to go to China. You can be niche in China, but you can be big. I mean, and that's the beauty of the Chinese market. Small in China doesn't mean small to the Western standard. I'm going to start with Icicle. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Icicle. Icicle is a Shanghai brand from Shanghai, started in 1987, founded by a Donghua University fashion professor, a very nice gentleman. They are truly a made-in-of concept. And they are talking in China, it's exactly the counter, the opposite of the disgusting Shanghai Tang, in a contemporary way, talking about China in a modern way. So talking about China using elements and things that touch Chinese consumers. Talking about China through the material, silk, linen, through the issues that touch Chinese consumers, ecology. And a brand which is really, truly genuine with a true soul. A very quick anecdote on the brand, and to really show you how some of these brands can be really meaningful and believe in what they do. So they are planning to open a new concept, and they were having a meeting with a potential partner in Shanghai. The boss of Icicle come to the place, sit, touch the table, and say, I don't want to talk to them. Let's leave. Reason: these guys it was a very high-end place. They were using fake wood. And his point was how these guys can be true in a high-end place using fake wood. So I think that's really to show you that you've got some amazing Chinese entrepreneurs that go into this trend, not because it's only commercial, actually really because they believe into it. 200 stores, 1.7 billion RMB. I mean, these are numbers that I'm sure Shanghai Tang would be craving for. Actually, before to go on the next slide, because a lot of the brands I'm going to share with you are not online for selling actually much online. Any ideas why? Why, if you're an Icicle, you don't sell online or very little? Their business model, most of these brands, it's actually something that you should keep in mind if you're a small fashion brand you want to come in China, are selling their brands through distributors, through franchisee. And obviously, if you start to sell online, you start to compete with your distributors. And so online is very interesting for them, but more for like video or interacting with consumers, eventually a bit of CRM, but not for sale. Especially when you start to talk at these numbers, it's definitely not their priority. Especially when with only 200 stores in China, you've got 40% organic growth. Suka, another very interesting brand, completely different from Icicle, though it has the same DNA, was started also by an ex-professor from Donghua University, except a couple of years later. Here, as you can see, it's a young, fun, very playful Chinese brand. They've got also this kind of unique DNA of all the models that you see, actually not model, they are employee or consumers of a brand. The brand is quite fun. I mean, they have a very wide range of consumers, going from 20 years old to 60 years old, and really talking to the consumers through their lifestyle. And I'm gonna show to you a very quick video of how you can talk about China, red and green and monkey, but in a more nicer, more relevant way than the Shanghai Tang that we just saw earlier on. Here, 100 plus stores, 1 point something billion RMB sales, niche, but I mean a sweet niche. That's for Suka, a very cool brand. And these guys actually, their main sales are not from their own DOS. Their main sales are coming through their distributors, partners. So we've got always this misleading information of, oh, if you come to China, don't work with local partners, go direct. You can go direct. I mean, once again, if you're Louis Vuitton and you go direct, you'll get the first floor in the shopping mall. But if you go in Chengdu, which is an amazing city, and you are, I don't know, maybe even it's a different story. And nobody knows you in Chengdu, probably. The shopping mall guy don't know you in Chengdu. Why would he give you a good location? And that's why, actually, sometimes to have a good Chinese local partners can be very meaningful and helpful. Another brand, GNBY, also very Chinese, also very contemporary, even much more designer in the web than the two brands that we saw before. 500 plus stores. 500 plus stores. The stores are smaller. The sales per store amount are also smaller than the two previous brands which I share with you. But 2 billion RMB, I mean, it's a nice sales number. And just to come back on the two brands that we just covered before, we are not discussing about cheap brands. I mean, like Icicle, the price of one coat, 7,000 kuai, 1,000 something euro. And they don't do discount. It's mostly full price. Suka, a nylon t-shirt, 1,800 RMB, 200 something euro. So you can be premium, you don't have to be super famous, and be actually very successful and in China. Oops. So that's GNBY, so you can see also a very different look and feel than the two brands that we shared before. Okay. We have 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Once again, more fun by Shanghai Tang. Okay, let's continue. Exceptions, kind of similar concept. Afu, very interesting. So I'd like to come back a bit on the online world. Afu, as you can see on the visual, it's actually another client of us. When you look at the packaging, I mean, they are talking in a very natural and organic China. They started on Taobao, so there's actually a lot of interesting brands, but to be a brand on Taobao, you need to have a concept. And these guys, from the beginning, had a strong concept, and they built a billion RMB brand out of Taobao. And now they are going very aggressively from the online world to the retail world, and they already opened more than 300 stores in China. So these are the kind of brands that have been killing brands like Yves Rocher, who pretty much disappeared on the market and are now trying to figure out how they're gonna come back to the market. So some big Chinese brands are fighting back, and they are fighting back by trying to be relevant to these Chinese consumers. So how do we do this? I have a slide missing, sorry. So this is a very quick case study on a very cool, very big Chinese lingerie brand called Aimer. They have 2,000 stores in China. And on the way they've been trying to regain the Chinese consumers is by talking about love. I mean, if you want to speak French, Aimer means love. And they've been working some app built on Weixin with a little game that you will see in a few seconds, where consumers could guess the bra size of their girlfriend. And so that was a fun way for shy Chinese consumers to get engaged, and also a good way for the brand to get the guy to know the bra size of her girlfriend. So to have them as a consumer. scanning. So all this is for WeChat actually. All this is from Weixin. So no need to build a special apps for this. So he's gonna make a quick guess. Let's see what happened. So it's a very successful campaign that we ran for them. They had more than 3 million views. So that's it. So he's well informed. So that's for Aimer. So why all these brands that we have been seeing, why do they talk to consumers? And so China is really going through what they call face consumption to taste consumption. Early on we were discussing, I mean, is a Western brands still have opportunities in the West? Is Chinese brands, how are they going to do? No, I think it's all about being meaningful, all about being a good brand. You don't have to be Chinese, you don't have to be Western, a little bit like what Mingpo was sharing with us this morning. You have to be good. I mean, if you want to sell to demanding, smart consumers, you need to be super, super good because these guys are very well informed, they are very volatile, they change, they are extremely well informed, and they want brands which are meaningful to them. And to conclude, one of the reasons why we know Shanghai Tang, we know Shangxia in Europe or in the US, and we actually don't know them, with Icicle and Zukezuk in the West, is when you have 200 stores in China and you have 40% growth organic in China, why would you bother come to Europe and spend, I don't know, €1 million to open one shop in Paris, plus the effort to have a small office? So they will ultimately come, and some are coming like Chongqia to get legitimacy to this client. But for most of the Chinese brands, they don't need actually right now the Western world. It will come when the market will become more saturated with them. But when like Zukezuk, they can have 500 more stores. So they still have quite a lot of opportunity for the Chinese market. And that's it. So. Storytelling, what matters to these consumers.
Okay, so we're actually a little 3 minutes over time, so we don't have a whole lot of time for questions.
I told you I had bad time management.
What?
I told you I had bad time management.
Yeah, but it was very interesting. So do you have any, let's make time for a question if you have one. Let me just throw out here, I mean, one quick thing before we move on. Do you think that the big Chinese companies understand what a brand is? You know, as someone that
no, it depends. I mean, it's a big challenge for many of these big Chinese companies. If they've got a background of OEM. I mean, I'm going to give you a very simple example. What brand is this? Lenovo at HP. Lenovo at HP. It's Logitech. So anyway, so they spend $150,000 to design this. And most of Chinese companies think like this because they buy a little bit of design. They believe it makes them brand. And that's the beauty of Apple. I mean, with or without the logo, you know, it's an Apple. And most of these Chinese companies, because of a very strong OEM background, really have difficulties to understand the value of storytelling, and intangible. But it's changing because, as we saw this morning, there's such a massive ecosystem of new brands, big brands. You can find within this group people who understand.
Well, in small niche brands and also privately owned ones, I think you start to see the development of a brand and understanding. But the state-owned companies like Haier, they don't even now understand the difference between a name and a brand. They go through distribution and low price.
Yes.
And not through branding. So
exactly.
That's the challenge and the opportunity for people like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.